Sweet.
All right, we're back. Clemic Performance Method Studio in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. Lots going on. Holidays here. Christmas is here.
Yeah.
New Year's is here. Got a lot of announcements. We'll try to get through as quick as possible. I'm David Clemic, founder of the Clemic Performance Method. This is my head coach, Josh Holsapple. He's all snuggled up in his travel vest with some warm drinks right there in the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
How was your weekend? How was everything going?
Good, man. I was just hanging out at home. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to probably the more important announcements first, but I just want to check in with you real quick. Let everybody else know how you're doing, because it's been like a couple weeks since we put one out there. So he's fine. Everything. We're all good. All right. So first thing, announcements are we're gonna look at the schedule moving forward. So Christmas Eve, we're off. Christmas Day, we're off. And then we're looking forward to New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. I'm pretty sure we're going to do like a morning workout for everybody at Atlantic Christian, and the day, like New Year's Eve. And then a lot of people are going to do like polar plunges and this and this. I don't want to fight you on that too much. So we'll probably take off New Year's Day. That one is to be determined, but we will be off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. If anybody needs to do makeups and everything, we'll add them to the back end of your contract. That's first. Second, we're getting all the reservations in for the winter. We're getting, we had tons of them. You guys are seeing them be posted. They look awesome. Some of the cool ones we're getting right now. We just got Patrick Cheek Smith from University of Tennessee Martin / Vanderbilt. He's coming here to train for his pro day, which is really cool because he's a legend in the area.
100%.
A 2,000-yard rusher at Holy Spirit, just an absolute great kid too. So we'll have him in his pro day. We're having a couple other guys call. Our agents are contacting, not our agents, people's agents are contacting us to do their pro day work, which typically we didn't do before because we're like, it's a lot of work, not a lot of return on investment for time, but the more people are asking us, it's kind of a cool thing. I think we'll take it on this year. And there's enough people that wanted to do it now. So I think we'll do it. But that's the announcement. Main thing on the announcements is the schedule. And don't forget that. And if anybody is trying to sign up online, now there's a link on the website that's going to it'll click you right to the gate analysis, and you can click on the link there. You don't have to go through the other process, which is annoying. We fixed it. It worked. We tested it out. Now it's working. For a month I was doing everything manually, so we're back. Heat's on. That's another good announcement. Our shoes, which you have more experience with right now. Would you like to talk about not the Antipes Muscle Runner, but we do have another thing called a High Racer? Why don't you explain a little bit about
the
that?
High Racer for us is very similar to the Antipes. It's just they come in smaller sizes, so girls and younger kids, can wear them. Again, this is all about gait correction. So I can't stress this enough. I wear barefoot shoes every day, and I train in the Antipes. I've trained in these too. I train in track spikes. To put it basically, kids and parents who are very concerned about their kids' health and well-being and the way that they, build structurally out and, being preventative with injury, putting your kid in the right shoe will legitimately change your life and change your athleticism. We have a lot of kids in here that have very underdeveloped ankles, and I talk about this, I feel like, every newsletter, but the shoes is a big part of that, is a big reason for that. These shoes right here are corrective. So if your kids have been wearing Air Maxes their whole life and shoes that are counterproductive to speed, if you wear these while you train, it is a totally different feeling. And it just looks like a normal shoe, but you put it on and you walk in these. Parents, I encourage you to try them on yourself and just put them on and see the difference. It'll roll you up onto the ball of the foot just like the Antipes will. These are less expensive than the Antipes, and again, they come in smaller sizes. So all the Jets group, almost everybody can get a pair of these. And girls, we have a lot of high school girls that can't fit into the Antipes, so this was our solution to that. And it's going to make a dramatic difference in running. It's also going to make you a lot sore. It's also going to make you learn how to strike the ground right. Just overall, it's a fantastic shoe. It looks great. It's just as competitive as any other shoe as far as pricing, and carbon fiber plate in the bottom. So you're going to have that rebound effect, that track-like spike effect. And so far, everybody that used them has told me that they're, phenomenal. I've used them myself. I've ran in them. They are the most similar to a track spike, even more similar than the Antipes to a track spike. I wouldn't say they're as aggressive, but they are phenomenal shoes, and I highly recommend them for any kid that can fit into them.
So if we just put some pressure down on the front of the shoe, the heel is way off of the ground, but it's because where you sit on the ball of your foot, really you're sitting on the back of the ball of your foot, typically not on the front, because the front of the ball of your foot would push you backwards a little bit. So you're set perfectly right here where the bulk of the material here is, and it sits you right up real nice. And this is a stiff shoe. I mean, you have a really hard time bending it. A lot of times we have those Victory insoles that are $100 and something, right? Just for the insole.
Yeah.
This actually has that carbon fiber plate insole, and then
it's corrective. It's
corrective.
a real tool. Yeah, like I get in this cheap, fast, quick world of how can I get better right now today. I get asked all the time. You do too. Is like, well, what are the Victory? I'm going to get Victory insoles. It's like, if you're slow and you get Victory insoles, you're still slow. If you're fast and you get Victory insoles, you're still going to be fast. It's going to make you just a little bit faster. The more developed you are as an athlete, the better the Victory insoles work, because it's a carbon fiber plate that is based off of how much force you're putting into the ground. So if you put in barely any force into the ground, you're going to get barely any force out of the ground. But if you're a fast athlete, an explosive athlete, and you wear Victory insoles, sure, it's going to make a difference. But if you're slow, nothing's going to change you being slow other than actually working your physical body. These, on the other hand, right, like if you were to buy these as a slower athlete, they have the carbon fiber plate, but that's not what makes these special. These are corrective in your running. These are corrective in your movement. I put these on and hit one of my best RSI scores in like 2 years. I don't even train RSI. Why was that? Well, the carbon fiber plate is one. I'm going to get more output from the ground, but it also stretches the Achilles tendon, right? It puts everything strengths or stretches and lengthens, and then teaches you how to contract very fast and get a lot out of your movement. So overall, fantastic product. Very similar to the Anteeps. They just come in smaller sizes, which allows us to, get them to younger kids.
And we are the only sports performance place in America right now with the Camp 3s.
These are only sold in China too.
Yeah.
These are what Chinese track racers use, and they're coming to us at a very affordable price point, and they're a beautiful looking shoe. You just can't beat it. I don't want to harp on it too much. We're not. Yeah, we're trying to give you guys the best tools that we didn't have.
This is it's not. I'll say this: Joe Irachi did tens of thousands of dollars probably in private lessons. It's paid off because of what he did. But the big bulk of what we had to do was just getting off his heel.
Joey is consistent. Like right now, he's probably the fastest. He is the fastest runner in the facility right now. Yeah. And he's when the college kids come back, he's literally in the top 5 fastest kids in the facility, and he started out as one of the slowest kids in the facility with a hamstring tear, with terrible mechanics and running. And you said it too, like these would have saved him a large amount of time and money. Just
he would have had to do
shoes.
He still would have had to do the private lessons to get him where he's at. But I would say maybe a half of the work, about half of it was just to get him off of his heel, which this would have done almost immediately, and then he'd have to just train in the shoe.
Yeah.
For $100, you get a shoe, $100 per lesson. You know what I mean? Like,
if
you get a shoe that could do half the work.
If you're doing indoor track this year, girl or boy, like this is your shoe to train in. You spike up for meets, but you train in these.
Yeah,
that's non-negotiable. It's how it should be.
And Josh wore them for. I wore the Anteeps for a whole day just to get the feel for it, and Josh wore both, so he's worn both and prefers this one right now over the Anteeps for how it feels as a performance shoe.
Yeah,
because it's a little stiffer and the bottom's harder and grippier. But anyway, we're harping on it a little bit too long.
Yeah,
but we absolutely love the shoe.
Long-winded. Yeah.
Why don't you? And if you wanted to order these, you're gonna have to, because they don't have an actual website, and we're the only ones that have them, and only sport performance place that has them. You'd have to go right through us and text us the size that you want. It's in European sizes. And then
come in and try them on.
Yeah, try them on first.
Try them on. Find your size and then put in an order. I think it'll change the way you run.
Yep, and then so we'll get them out for Christmas. They should be there within 3 to 5 days.
It's a great stocking stuffer. Now that I think about it, this is a great stocking stuffer.
We also have hats that we're going to post a picture of the hat right here, and we'll show you the coolest pom-pom hat with like a little KPM embroidered. I ordered 30 of them, so we've already gotten a bunch of requests.
We're trying to go the luxury brand route. Very limited drops. High resale values.
Resale.
The
It'll
resale
be a collector's item.
Big. Yeah.
People have brought out old like East Coast Speed Academy or
Dude, I've
what's
seen
it called?
Colin
Competitive edge stuff.
Colin got offered $100 for a vintage KPM T-shirt.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh yeah. These things are hot items for Christmas too. But now, so we're gonna go next. We're gonna go to Who Dat Athlete of the Week.
Who that? Who that? Hey, who that? Who that? Hey.
But anyway, that's J. Cole, and our Who Dat Athlete of the Week. We're gonna have to, because we're not a lot of people are competing right now. We're like broken in between seasons and everything. But speaking of breaking things, a record has been broken in our facility, which is a coveted record called the RSI. It was held for a very long time by Charlotte Ulrich, who is now 12 years old, who was at top speed, is still absolutely at her age level is the highest outside of her national averages we've ever coached. But the RSI record has dropped. It went twice. It went to Logan Perez, then it went to Cameron Demorat, and now Gianna Shea broke the record at 3.53.
Yeah,
was it?
I think it's 3.55,
3.55,
3.53 somewhere.
And does it beautifully, and you can see when she runs and how that helps her. She floats along the surfaces, even if it's a soft surface, or if it's a track surface. She really floats along. She's not a big girl, so she needs all those things to work in her favor, because she doesn't have a big stride. She has great turnover and stuff, great knee lift, all these very good attributes. She needs that in order for these to work, and it really does help her tremendously. So that RSI thing, as we've seen, and she's a phenomenal top speed girl too, in the 17s right now, looking to push that 18 mile per hour mark by the end. So Gianna, I'm gonna let you tell a story too about her, because I talked to her about it the other day. This is somebody who actually cares about their test score. And then Coach called me going, I got to actually talk to you about something, but this is how much our kids care. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, she might get a little embarrassed from
Don't
this,
worry
but
about
this is the first
She's
time.
not going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, you're
Her
probably
dad will.
right. Yeah. No, she's been talking to me about shin splints for a while, because she has very explosive lower legs. So, when she bounces into the ground, it's a lot of force. And for me as a coach and you as a coach, you're always trying to, keep athletes healthy. That's like the number one thing. So she's obviously very competitive in RSI testing, and she went through the workout, and I'm like watching her warm up, and I'm watching her run, and I can see that her ankles, and she tries to hide it in body language, but we look at body language all day, so it's very easy to see. And then we go into isolation, and she's doing the workout and the training and the bounces, and I tell her, you're not going to do any of the bounce work because your lower leg is, fried. It's sore. It needs to recover. We're not going to put a lot of work into it. And then she, wanted to test RSI, and I'm like, you can't test RSI. And she she started tearing up. She was like her eyes were, and I'm looking, and I'm like, there's no way she's upset. I'm crazy right now. And then, she's like, I'm going to cry if I can't do this. I'm going to bawl my eyes out. And I'm looking, and I see her getting upset, and I can't tell her no, because I don't want to see her cry. Because she's a young high school girl, and then I'm the guy who made her cry. So I let her test it. But, the moral of it is just the story is that she was so excited to test and so competitive to do the test again and to break her own record, that she was willing to get hurt and willing to get very upset if I, didn't let her test, which I think speaks to her character and her competitive nature, and I think that'll take her really far, whatever she ends up doing in sports. But it was the first time I talked to you. It was the first time I've ever had an experience like that, where somebody was so willing to do a test that they were upset about it, and they were okay with having shin splints and okay with getting not a major injury, but just a pain in your shins that doesn't feel too good, in order to compete and break the record. So.
And I think the reason why I wanted you to tell that story is because it's the same story I've told her dad and every one of you guys. When you give your kid an objective measurement to chase down, it becomes intrinsic. They want it. We don't have to provide motivation. The number provides the motivation. These kids want to improve.
Yeah.
They don't want, they play their video games. Guess what they're trying to do? Improve at how good they are playing the video game. They want this type of stuff. They want to. I've had a clinic before. It was called Competitive Edge Sports when we first started this. And we were working our butts off over here, and there was another camp of kids over here that were just playing kickball, right? And we had all this equipment on and parachutes and this and that, and all of the kids from the group that was playing kickball were staring over at the kids that were training their butts off. you could see that they wanted to do that, where none of the kids were staring at the kids playing kickball.
Yeah.
They want it. They do, and it becomes intrinsic when you when you can quantify it, you can beat it. Remember, there was a movie called Predator, where they found out that the predator could bleed because they shot it or whatever, and they said, if it bleeds, we can kill it. If you can quantify, you can beat it. If you can quantify, you can beat it. So like once they know that, they get obsessed over it. I told them, everybody, you're going to become obsessed. And so many dads, Billy Hankins is one of them, goes, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like Lucas is so obsessed with the test scores and everything. It's the same way.
And again, like, you know, our thing is in our training is like, you want to be at maximal efforts. And how do you know if you're at your maximal efforts if you're not actually testing everything that you do? And almost every single day we test. And that's what makes our facility, I think, special, is that we have a number of different tests that we have shown to carry over to athletic play and increase your displacement. And if you're not testing it, how do you know that you're getting better at it, and how do you know that you're at maximal efforts? So that's what keeps everybody in check. It keeps everybody accountable.
One other thing that it should be noted too is that when you test a lot, when you're tested a lot, you don't freak out when it comes to being tested, and then you're not nervous, and then you can relax and do what you're taught to do, and you just react to your training, you react to your testing. Sometimes, like some people are running their first track meets and stuff like that, Cruz being one of them. You have to test your way into, or you have to race your way into shape, because there's certain things that are happening during a test that you don't, like in practice, you go sub-maximal speeds, this and that, you're not worried about it.
Yeah.
Everything worries. Everything matters. Everything's hyper, is heightened and everything like that. And so you're nervous and you're sweating and you're shaking and everything. It's scary. When you test all the time, you don't freak out anymore. You just do what you're taught.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing, is like, how do you expect to run a 40 at this college in June at your college that you want to go to if you practice running a 40 2 weeks before 3 times and you expect to run a good time? You know, it's just,
with all
just
these
impossible.
scouts and just everyone's bearing down on you.
All of a sudden you can run fast now.
Yeah. So anyway, without further ado, we'll go into our shout-outs. So a couple things just as the football season finished up. Mainland had a phenomenal finish of the year. Didn't win the state championship, but went in Group 3. They won Group 4 undefeated last year, and they moved down and pretty much easily moved through, except for that one overtime, or the game went to overtime.
Yeah, it was good. Somerville
was a great game. One of the greatest football games I've ever seen, high school games I've ever seen played. It was awesome. I'm so proud of those kids, because we coach them all and we test them in the beginning of the season. They just did phenomenal. So I want to shout out to Mainland Mustangs. I've had Chuck Smith on the radio and to talk about it, and he was just, he's just so thrilled with his guys and their efforts, and their, the team is very, very well coached, and they're probably the best well coached team in the state, I would say. They have 3 state champion head coaches on one staff.
Yeah, public
Clyde
school
Folsom, Tim Watson, and Chuck Smith, all on the same staff. They got NFL guys on there. They got people, everybody's just volunteering from the, as much as they can. It's a great community. I could say I went there, so I'm in the Hall of Fame. So it's kind of like, I know it well, but I'm very proud of all those kids. And another group of kids is St. Augustine Prep. We coach many of the St. Augustine Prep kids. What a great season. Obviously didn't finish the way they wanted to, but they ended up with a big win against Millville in the last one of their second to last regular season game.
Yeah, and they beat Del Barton, which nobody thought they were going to beat Del Barton. So, it's a good win. Obviously, you'd want to go out through the state championship, but they're building their team. They're building their culture too. I love the kids that come in here and train. Those kids are all workhorses. Like, they come in and they work. Yeah. So love to see that. Glassboro, another one. Glassboro won the state championship.
Easily.
Had Devon Barr, the Sad brothers, Xavier Amari, Kenny Smith was in here for a while training. Another great season for those guys. They're killing it. They probably have one of the best skill position groups in all of New Jersey, between the Sad brothers and Kenny Smith and Devon Barr. Like, those guys they're good football players.
St. Joe's Prep, who just won the state championships,
35-7.
I think it was a pretty easy 35-6, pretty easy win. They are expected to win the state of Pennsylvania almost every year. But that wasn't that big of a challenge for them. But they do play like IMGs, and they'll play out of state to get some really good challenge. Phenomenal. We coach a lot of the kids there too. I'm gonna call out, and you know what? A new group a new group is these Ocean City kids. This is a new thing for us to have that many Ocean City kids. We have our 5 o'clock class is basically all Ocean City kids.
I want to tie those kids into, like, you know, we're shouting out these state champion teams, and it's like, or these teams that go really far, and it's like, you know, St. Joe's Prep is the cream of the crop as far as, like, Northeast football. Like, it's like them, Bergen Catholic, some big North schools, and, you know, maybe one school outside of the big North of New Jersey and St. Joe's Prep. And St. Joe's Prep brings, like, there's 8 kids that come down here, 9. Like, over the years, we've had probably close to 15, 20 St. Joe's Prep players coming down here to train, and it's like, that's what the cream of the crop does. Like, they travel and they work. St. Augustine Prep travels and they work. Nobody from St. Augustine Prep lives down the road to train here, like maybe Matt Bonchek, Julian Jambuzzi, but for the most part, they got to travel. And mainland, big groups come in here. It's a little bit closer for mainland, but that's what they do. And it's like when you see Glassboro, 4 kids from traveling down from Glassboro, you know, 4 of their best players traveling down from Glassboro, and it's like you see the patterns of these teams and these kids, and it's like, well, all of a sudden it starts to make sense as to why they win. And, you know, we now have the Ocean City kids in here, and, you know, I'm not saying it's all on us, but I'm saying that, you know, when they come in here and they create a culture of winning and create a culture of training, like, that's going to not only carry over to their individual, you know, performance and skill, but when they go and they play football, it's like, yo, we just worked all season at Climbing Performance Method. We worked with Dave and Josh, and then we hit the weight room, and then we were out on the field doing 7-on-7, and then we were getting our chemistry together. All of those things build into being a much more mature football team and being a much better football team. So, you know, it obviously it's great for us to have more kids in here, but, you know, for your team as well, if it's training with us or training outside of us, like, get together and do those extra things, because it's very easy to see that the best teams and the best players are doing these things. Ocean City's going to have a great year.
Yeah,
for a phenomenal year. It's far in the future.
High energy kids too.
They're high energy kids. Yeah, we almost got
Desicino boys.
Yeah, we almost gotta calm them down a little bit. They're running into girls doing jumps and like screaming and yelling. But
they're great.
But
that's the atmosphere we want.
I agree.
I miss my football players when you guys are, because you bring that type of energy to a lesson, you know what I mean, and very, very, very alpha, you know. But sometimes, you know, you gotta, like you said, we gotta draw them back a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of competitiveness in the group.
You never want to kill competitive nature.
Yeah. Well, I'll wrap it up. We're gonna go. I mean, we this is a longer one than I thought we were gonna go, but we missed a couple weeks right back in the past couple weeks right now. So we're back. We'll be starting definitely this week. We'll be going very consistently, and we are very busy right now. So if you do want your reservation, make sure you call 609-742-6190. That's my number, or hit the website. There's a link on there to sign up for gait analysis. If you're a new student, if you're an old student, you definitely want to call me, and I'm just going to put you through the measurements. On the radio show on ESPN Radio on 10 to 12 on Saturday, I'll be on this week, and I do a sports science segment. I'll call out some of my players. We have a cool segment that was sponsored now by Philadelphia Soft Pretzel Factory, which is like Faces in the Crowd, and they're calling out, and they called out Rocco DiBiaso last week, which is really cool. Chloe Kerr from Ocean City, who was another who I know very well, but she was a distance runner, and she couldn't come in during the season because she was running distance. But anyway, without further ado, we'll see you next time. Take care.